I have one last story to share with you. A few weeks ago, I was doing my regular Bible reading, and it was on the parable of the soils. And when I got to the soil that was full of weeds, this phrase caught my attention. It said, making it unfruitful. As I was preparing for today, and as I continue to pray that as a conference will be fruitful and multiplying, I thought I should pay attention to Jesus' teaching about what makes us unfruitful. In context, Jesus said, still others, like seed sown among thorns, hear the word, but the worries of this life, the deceitfulness of wealth, and the desires for other things come in and choke the word, making it unfruitful. So I began to wrestle with this. What worries in my life, what deceitfulness of money and things, what desires for other things, what distractions from other things are choking out the Lord's invitations to me, making me unfruitful? What are the things that are getting in the way of me hearing the Lord's daily invitation to fully align myself with His mission and to daily repent and believe? Then I continued on in the passage and read about the good soil. Jesus said the good soil will produce 30, 60, 100 times what was sown. What would it take for me to see God multiply 100 times through me? That was on my mind and heart when the next day I turned to a book of prayer that I was going through with some others in the denomination. And this little book asked this question: what would I pray for if I was guaranteed that God would give me what I ask? Because of my pondering the story of the soils, I immediately wrote down that I would like to see my own life be good soil, producing 100 times what was sown. And I'd like to see our pastors and leaders and churches all good soil, producing 100 times what was sown. Over the next couple of days, that prayer request kept coming to mind, and I confess that each time it came, I lessened it. At first I realized that, Jesus said that there are 4 soils, so rather than every attender in Genesis being good soil, I should probably only figure about a quarter of them would be. But then I did the math. If a quarter of the people in Genesis brought 100 people to Christ in their lifetime, that's 250,000 people. That's 2.5 times the amount of Free Methodists in the U.S. right now. So okay. Probably a quarter of the people being good soil is too much to ask. Maybe I should pray that 10% of our people multiply by 10%. That was still 100,000 people. Okay, maybe I should pray that 10% of our people should be good soil that multiplied by 30, which is the lowest multiplier that Jesus gave. Okay, that would be triple the number of in Genesis, maybe in a generation. Maybe I could pray for that. Okay. What about our churches? What if 10% felt called to multiply through church planting, and if they multiplied themselves by 30 over a generation, we'd have well over 200 churches in Genesis within a lifetime? Okay. The more I thought about it, the crazier it seemed, and I started believing that I was wrong to even think about praying this way. At the same time, I was second-guessing saying anything about multiplication at OneDay. I know how tired so many are. And I really wondered if we should only focus on soul care. A week ago Sunday, the 21 Days of Prayer book was finishing, and I found myself asking the Lord, what do I need to do to have more of the power of your Spirit? And I got an unexpected yet completely biblical answer. Pam, love me above all else. It's about love. That was challenging and wonderful all at the same time. I finished that prayer time and I heard a noise, and I realized that the field across the road from us was being combined, and I went to watch with Marsh. And much of the field we can't see from our house because trees block the view, and much of the field is on the other side of the hill. So I knew we'd only see the combine when it was close. The combine made one pass and then came back and stopped right in front of us. I asked Marsh why they'd stopped there, and he said, the combine is full. They need to wait for someone to come pick up the corn before they start moving again. And then he said, man, this is a good harvest year. Hey, Pam, look, the truck's coming to pick up the corn. And I watched as this huge amount of corn began pouring from the combine into this truck. They were close enough. The chaff from the corn was blowing into my eyes and into my hair. And I heard the Lord whisper, Pam, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Pray. And I said, okay, Lord, I'll pray for some people, pastors, some churches to multiply. A little while later, the combine stopped right in front of us again. And I said to Marsh, why are they stopping here again? And he looked at me and he said, I guess this is where they are full again. And I said, okay, Lord, I get it. pray for the harvest. And then it happened a third time. In this huge field, most of which I can't see, the combine got full in front of us and had to be unloaded. And for number 3, I said, oh, okay, Lord, I know that you gave 30 times is the lowest amount the good soil will produce. So I get it. I pray for Genesis to be good soil that multiplies 30 times. And the combine moved on. Except it got full again in front of us. A 4th time, a 5th time, a 6th time, a 7th time. And as I looked out at a field that was mostly harvested, I said 7, the number of completion. I understand, Lord, I'm not to limit you. I will pray for an abundant, multiplying harvest. Even though I thought that field was almost empty, the combine stopped in front of us an 8th time, then a 9th time, and finally a 10th time. And with tears in my eyes, I thought, 100 times what was sown. And I also thought, it's all about love. What could drive us to be fully operating in the power of the Spirit, loving God above everything else? And what could drive us to be wildly reaching out to a hurting world, even when we're tired, with the good news that His kingdom is here and near and accessible to those who turn and believe? Love. Love God. Love people. Make disciples. Multiply. I believe that I've been challenged by the Lord to pray towards and work towards an abundant, overflowing, multiplying movement here in Genesis. Multiplying for the generations to come. But that kind of movement has to start with me and with you praying, loving, working towards being good soil. Would you commit to praying out of a love for Him and a love for others that the Lord would multiply you and your church 30, 60, or 100 times? And then would you respond to those opportunities the Lord gives you in answer to that prayer? In the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of social upheaval, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. For this last prayer time, I'm going to send you to your Zoom rooms to pray. And I would just encourage you to be praying for a harvest, praying for a greater love for God, praying for a greater love for people, praying that the Lord would be multiplying us, praying that He'd be opening our eyes to seeing the harvest that is there, and that He would make us bold and loving in moving out into that harvest. And so pray with the people in your Zoom room, and then I invite you to come back this evening to the live stream of the ordination service at 7 o'clock. We'll be live streaming on Facebook. So thanks for your time this afternoon.